Well, I have the ability to deal with the Sam people. I think the red probably would look better. Yeah, it does. Yeah. Okay.
Yes?
Just need to find out if I kill them or not, if I get the stuff back. I have to have HK-47 though. To talk, because I'm smart. I forgot about that. What are your Jedi powers again?
Your
lady?
wish?
Yes?
What level am I? 13.
Yeah?
Yes?
Query. What do you wish? Protocol. This will be... Translate. Translation. Translation. He says that the use of these blasphemous things will only be translation. If your kind had not come here, he would not have to translation. He says that the robes are sacred, master. Translate. Translation. Trans
250 XP.
trans 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 translate translation. It begins with the ancient times. They were not sand people, for there was no sand. The land was green with life, and they walked without wrappings. Translation. Though the land was beautiful, they lived apart from the land. They built their walls high and saw beyond the horizon. They dared to reach the stars. Translation. There are no words for how long ago this was. It was before the outsiders, before the abduction, before the cities fell, before the builders. Translation. Translation. His arrogant people touched the stars, and this sin drew the attention of the builders. The builders did not touch the stars, they lashed them to millstones. Translation. Great demons of metal stripped the world of its riches, until all that was left was the green of the ground. The great cities were lifted away. Translation. Those that had used the wealth were taken along with it. Transgressors abducted to serve past the sky, seeding the stars with penitent, adaptable slaves. Translation. Translation. There came a time when the builders were also judged for their crimes. After generations, a plague weakened them, and the time of the Great War began. Translation. The builders faltered, and his people realized why they had been punished, so that they understood the crime and would now strike down the greater offender. Translation. They worked chaos in the machines, so they destroyed themselves. The builders fought back, laying waste to the green that had been misused with fire from above. Translation. Soil became glass, grinding to sand. But the fight was long planned, and his people were safe. Deep in cave homes carved from valley wall, they were free. Translation. Editing, if I may, Master. This section of his tale details several millennia of the long walk, their nomadic wanderings as they accept their identity in a desert world. Rather than strain my circuits on his dialect, might we just assume there was much fighting over who has the biggest bantha and move on to more recent things? Resignation. Translation. The tribes spread far, distant from each other, but all as sand people, and all cherished the land that remained. The sand would not be misused. Translation. Then machines fell from the stars again, outsiders like you that brazenly walked apart from the land. And greater still was the insult to come. Translation. These outsiders reminded them of their past transgression, of the time when they too walked apart from land. The outsiders, your kind, looked like their ancient abducted. Translation. So it is to the current sons that the Sand People hate all outsiders and give them no footing. You come again, time after time, adaptable slaves to the machine. Editing. The last 1,000 years are full of conflicts with different groups of attempted planetary settlers, all of whom are poorly described, long dead, and likely untraceable. I believe I have truncated it down to the usable bits in what was already said. I hope. Cautionary. I should warn you, Master. Clarification. They may consider this to be... Clarification. It would appear that they once had a thriving tech... Translation. Translation. He only understands the Builders as an iconic force meant to test the resolve of his clarification. They claim their stories are repeated unchanged, but they have demonized these Builders. In their minds, they wreaked such havoc they could not possibly be flesh and blood. Negative. I am no library, but since there is no Republic record of this planet having sentient life before Zerka colonization... Oh. Translation. The tribes spread far, distant from each other, but all are sand people, and all cherish the land that remains. The sand... Translation. Then machine. Translation. Editing. I believe. Translate.
So no XP for that.
Query. Protocol. Is that wise, Master? They may have assumed that the disguises you use... Translation. The result is predictable. You have desecrated...
You pay. Hey.
Powering weapons. Droid efficiency at its best. Engaging!
That hurt, I bet. That hurt. Bet.
Termination required. Termination required.
That hurt, I bet. That hurt, I bet. Ah!
Ready.
Oh, you hit yourself. Nicely done. Man, if only...
Oh!
did you end up with 1 HP? 2. Alright. This time we're gonna try in the
Query.
ring.
Agreement.
What?
Acknowledgement.
Sure.
Ready.
That hurt, I bet. That hurt, I bet.
Droid
hurt, I bet.
efficiency at its best. Termination required.
That hurt. Hurt, I bet.
Take that!
Droid efficiency at its best.
Take that!
Combat mode. Active.
You'll pay!
Droid efficiency at its best.
Take that!
That hurt, I bet.
Droid
hurt, I bet.
efficiency at its best.
Take that! Take that!
That hurt, I bet.
Combat mode active.
Did I not give him the Great Dragon Pearl? I did. I don't know. That's not worth it. That is not worth it. Do I still have the crate? No, I need to load the autosave. No, that's not it either. Need to load the save and see if the storyteller's there. Storyteller's not there. Okay. Not really much progress being made with this. I didn't really do anything. We'll come back after I steal stuff, I guess. I don't know. I think I'll leave him alive for now.
Yeah, what do you want? I was one of the best youth warriors in the clan Ordo in my time. No one before me had mastered the power of our basilisk war droids as quickly as I had. Except Mandalore himself, of course. In those days, we were sweeping across the Outer Rim, destroying all who fought us. Young Mandalores would prove themselves in real combat with unknown opponents above 1,000 worlds. Each brought back stories of his achievements. I remember it well, orbiting high above a placid world, its defenses just stirring. As was tradition, I would go ahead of the first wave to find enemies in the thickest fighting. I remember sitting there in my armor, linked directly with a basilisk thrumming beneath me, my heart racing with fear of the coming battle. The doors opened in front of me, and the air was sucked out of the drop bay, scattering crystals of frozen vapor across my path. I can't describe what it feels like to look directly down at a world, falling continuously as you circle it, with barely 15 centimeters of armor plate protecting you. When the magnetic locks disengaged on my droid, I plunged out of the drop bay towards the battle that waited below. The exhilaration, the euphoria I felt as I streaked into the atmosphere, dodging self-guided projectiles and beam weapons, was unmatched. An 80-kilometer plunge through the atmosphere, dodging and weaving, the outside of my armor glowing like the sun with the heat of re-entry. And with barely 30 meters to spare, I twisted and skimmed the surface, firing at the giant beam generators that were in my path. The explosion from that sent shock waves that leveled the entire complex around it. It was the moment of my life. I'll never forget those times. But things are different now. We can't go on fighting the way we did. There are too few of us left now. But I really don't want to talk about this anymore. I trust I've satisfied your curiosity for now. Is there something else you want to know?
Nope.
Your choice.
Oh, the Gigzika or dog chest.
How may I be of assistance? What is... Well, I suppose I have not talked very much about the Jedi I met back home. They... all of them were so very... invigorating. They were so very alive. So full of hope and energy and zeal. In retrospect, I can see it was a little bit tragic. Well, yes. These Jedi were going to fight the Mandalorians just after they had invaded. Many of those Jedi perished in the fighting, but to us, they seemed invincible. Especially their leader, who they talked about all the time. Paragons of light and justice, sweeping away all iniquity before them. It was like looking at gods. I was merely using poetic license. Those Jedi, they were enthralling. Everyone wanted just to touch them. Some people thought it would bring them luck. Not that the peace they brought lasted very long. The Jedi left. The people grew complacent. Those who had been wronged saw their chance at revenge. And so the cycle continues. The oppressed become the new generation of oppressors. The human oppressed, that is. The non-humans were never treated well in any case. We felt the brunt of both administrations. Of course it was. They took their frustrations and hate out on us, because the people they wanted had already fled, or were too well protected. But no one looks out for the injustices we suffered. Oh no, but I am sorry. I should not have outbursts like that. Don't you see? The very fact I mentioned it means it has its influence. Anger can lead to the dark side. And I must be ever careful that I do not fall back into those ways. I thank you for your support. But let us not speak more.